they didn't make the change from Eric to Michael until 6 weeks of shooting. So
that's really interesting.
Eric Stoltz is a wonderful actor, and Michael brought to a certain lightness, a comic sense to it. Always, I loved it. And then decades later, I get a call to be Uncle Fester in a film, and I was blown away. And I was very excited, although I don't resemble Uncle Fester as you see me now. But they worked that out with costume and makeup, and etc. So I have kind of a special feeling about Uncle Fester. But I'd be happy to do another Back to the Future. And another Star Trek. I love doing Captain Krug. Licensed to be just as evil and nasty, and it was just great. It was a wonderful part. I mean, it's such a crazy role, and a lot of people like here come up to me and say that when they were a kid and they saw the film, it terrified them. It was like, and which I don't regret. It was just, but it was, you know, taking that little shoe and putting it in. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You know, it was great. Andy was wonderful. I mean, people often ask me, was he crazy? And he wasn't crazy. He had a very specific kind of comedy that he wanted to share, and he stuck with that. He was extraordinary. Kids that saw Back to the Future 1 in 1985 have grown up, and they have kids that are now seeing the films for the first time, and it just snowballs, and it's amazing that a film sequence has had such an impact and a meaning to so many people. I've had people come and say they saw these films when they were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and it inspired them to be engineers, doctors, anything but an actor. But, but in that they went into science one way or another, and they're grown up now and doing it, and it takes you back, you know. Pardon the expression. Great Scott!
What do you think it was about that character that so connected with fans?
I think what it was Darth Maul came out with a double-bladed lightsaber, and he was different from any other bad guys. You got to see his face, and so it's more character there, maybe a bit of swagger and confidence. I'd love to come back and be Darth Maul with a shirt off, tattoos, 2 double-bladed lightsabers, because I have been working on it ever since Episode 3 was in production. So, anyone listening? Okay. And so I was offered Pyro first, and I was like, Pyro? I don't know who Pyro is. So I was like, okay. So I started thinking of Jet Li. What would Jet Li do with flames coming from his hands? So I started thinking, okay, my style, Tai Chi Bagua, I can be like, watch it. Play with it. And Brian came back with me and he said, we want you to be Toad. I was like, Toad? Gross. I didn't want to be like, I knew what he was like in the comics. I was like, so I had to come up with something different, how I'd be sort of sinister and creepy and crazy at the same time.
I'll do it, but I get to work in at least one Darth Maul move that you put on camera.
That was Brian's idea.
That was Brian's
idea.
idea.
That was all Brian, because I was a little bit against it, and don't shoot me for this. But I turned up set, there's a stick there between the elevator, of course I read the script, and he goes, I want you to do a little twirl like that. And I said, yeah, but that's going to look like Darth Maul. And I was trying to keep away from Darth Maul, because I wanted to show that I wanted to show I could do something different. And he goes, yeah, that's the whole point. I want it for the fans, and music's going to go da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, and then I got it. I was like, oh, it's a little shout out, it's a little tribute. I was like, okay. Yeah, that was all Brian. And then so, when I go through the elevator show, I said, how do I do people funny? So I thought my dad would go, if you did something wrong. So I just played my dad, because if I'd fallen over, my dad would go. So I never knew about conventions when I did Star Wars. I never knew about, autographs or anything like that. So when I was asked to come to a convention, I was scared. So I was like, no one's going to come up, someone's going to come and say, oh, I'm crap, I'm rubbish.
You're no Darth Vader.
So I understand this. I'm so glad that there are conventions for everything like sci-fi, TV, martial arts. I think it's really good. It's a good place for everyone. Because I never told anyone I did martial arts at school. Or I was into Jackie Chan because of fear of getting beaten up or picked on. You didn't tell anyone you were into Jackie Chan. Because then they're like, oh, you think you're Bruce Lee, and then you've got everyone. Yeah, everyone's going to pick on you. And I was like a little chubby kid, and with holes in my trousers, and I was always falling over and playing soccer. And so when I found out that 4 other classmates were into Jackie Chan, bang, we were like talking Jackie Chan, everything, and it felt like I belonged somewhere. So then we went to martial arts together, and we were watching Jackie Chan movies, and then we were doing swap scenes. And it was the greatest feeling ever. So I think it's great to have conventions. It's great for everyone to be here and share stories, have fun. That's what it's all about. Anything's possible. That's what I believe in.
Bringing it up for Gillian Anderson. It took me a minute to adjust, but they are deep. They are thousands deep.
Holy shit. Was on my last unemployment check when I got the job. So it made a big difference in my life. And I think, over 9 years it made, an absolutely massive difference in my life, and I wouldn't, have had the opportunities to do the work that I've done since then. And wouldn't have met the father of my daughter, and lots of stuff like that. Can I sit on your side?
Absolutely.
No, that is so much better. Well, I grew up in London, and it was my first. I learned how to speak by speaking. That was my first language, so to speak. So. When I'm around Brits, it comes back, and often, just with everybody seeming to have an issue with it, I've tried while living over there not having it, and I sound like an asshole.
So you just let it go.
Have you ever read X-Files fanfic, and was there a favorite story?
Sorry, have I ever read what?
It's where fans write stories about what they wish the people on the show would do.
Oh, no, I haven't. Tell me an example.
So Scully's become kind of a feminist icon. I think the character embodies a lot of strength and sassiness. And I wonder if you
And
feel...
what, sassiness?
Sassiness, definitely
Sassiness.
And I wonder if you feel particularly proud at your role in creating such a strong woman.
Such a sassy bitch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so much of what Scully was on the page because of Chris and his very, very specific, defined idea of who she was. I feel proud to be a part of the show, and I feel grateful to have had an opportunity to be with someone on a daily basis that I could stand to be with for 9 years. I think sometimes that's not necessarily the case, so I'm grateful for that. Thank you. Thank you.
Then all 55% of all televisions on that night were watching one show.
And Bert and I
all the other
figured that,
stations cheered.
excuse me, Bert, go ahead.
Go right ahead. That's right, you go right ahead. You're the senior bat.
I will, of course. Thank you very hard. I don't know what I was going to say, really. The people at Fox and ABC had seen a commercial that I'd done for Nestle's Quick, in which I played a character called Captain Quick. It was kind of a James Bond spoof. they saw that. And I didn't know until 2 years after we started the show, excuse me, that that's the reason I was cast. They saw the darn commercial, they said, hey, this turkey could play Batman. I went in, and that first day, when I put on the costume and walked across the stage, people didn't say a word. I thought they'd laugh. And they were in awe because they believed in Batman. And of course, my legs in those tights were so nice. But what happened? What happened here? And the memo started to float around the studio. Producers who saw the dailies said, what is that kid trying to do? What's he doing? We want him to be straight like the Lone Ranger. Tonto. And I just did my thing, and I just kept doing it. And you know what happened? With all that criticism, after 2 weeks of dailies, they said, let this kid do whatever the hell he wants. He's funny. We do the show for the whole family spectrum and make it funny for the adults and let the kids, I see a kid there somewhere, let the kids enjoy the adventure, the splash, the color, and all the morality lessons, the ethics. Yeah. Wait, Robin, hold it. Put a quarter in the meter.
Day of Batman, I got suited up and they said, we're ready for you, Burt. We're going to film this scene coming out of the Batcave. And I got in the Batmobile, and there was a gentleman there, but it wasn't Adam, dressed as Batman. I said, well, who are you? He says, my name is Hubie. I said, and what are you doing here? He says, well, I'm a stuntman. Oh, really? Great. Yeah, dangerous work. Well, I said, well, why is not Adam here? He says, well, because I've got to do a very dangerous stunt. We can't take a chance of Adam getting hurt. That was not comforting. I said, well, my door flew open, and it knocked the cameraman off the camera, and it knocked one of the lights over. And as I was falling out the door, I managed to reach around. I don't know how I got lucky, and I wrapped my little finger around the gear shift knob, which kept me from going out. But at the same time, it pulled the finger out of the socket, which was very painful. They came over when this all happened, and they said, oh my gosh, Burt, look at your hand, it's swollen already. I said, yes. They said, we've got to get you to the doctor. I said, okay. And they said, just as soon as we get this shot. I'm in pain. They said, we got to get this shot. I mean, we've got 80 guys in the crew, it's $30,000 an hour, we got to get this shot. I said, well, okay. It was 3 hours later. I finally ended up at the doctor. And that was day one. On day two, I was coming out of a burning car with Frank Gorshin. It was supposed to be burning. Frank comes out as the Riddler. He jumps down, and I come out from underneath, down where the smoke was, come up at the top, and just as I'm ready to jump out, unexpectedly, the car blows up. Threw me to the ground, second-degree burns to the back of my neck. I'm back there, and it's the same doctor. He says, what are you doing here again? And then, of course, the scene with Adam, where the third day I'm tied down on a table with the Riddler, my hands out like this, completely tied down. Adam is supposed to break in through the subway to rescue me. Right. But the problem was they didn't build a breakaway set.
How expensive.
Oh, and there was no time. So the special effects guys, in their infinite wisdom, they put in 2 half sticks of dynamite, and they nearly blew the entire soundstage down. And I'm tied down, and a 2x4 comes down, hits me in the nose, breaks my nose. It's the third day, but I'll tell you something. I started to suspect there was a problem.
Were you ever injured during the filming of the movie or the television series at all?
I love danger. Get the stunt guy, for God's sake. I was hanging from the ladder from the helicopter over the open ocean.
Okay.
When Burt handed me that shark repellent, luckily, that was close. I still have that scar. Right, it's a rubber shark. But
I think that's what inspired the movie Jaws, by the way. I think Spielberg said once. It was
yeah,
inspiration for Jaws.